Hello and welcome to Real Weird Sickos. My name is Tom Videogro and I hope you're having a terrific day, as I know everyone here is having a terrific day. And you know who's terrific all the time? It's my good friend, Jen. Jen, what's happening?
Did you just assume whether or not I'm having a good day?
I do. I hope you're having a fantastic day.
You're right. I am. Aww.
Absolutely. Oh, terrific. You're the best, matey. But you know who's also the best? It's our good friend, Charles Carr. Charles, what's happening in your neighborhood?
Well, brother, let me tell you something. You think I'm the best, I'm the worst. Way worse than all the rest. Nobody, and I mean nobody's as bad as me, brother.
Exactly. But you know who's
I know a bad man. I know a real bad man who does good content about bad things.
Do tell.
Our wonderful pal, NightDocs.
Welcome to NightDocs. What's happening?
Good to have you here, matey. It's been a long time coming and a long time to come to.
Yeah, but, it's fine. Nice to actually talk to you guys for once.
Absolutely, outside of shit posting.
All right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what this is too, right? So,
yeah, basically.
This is to humanize this. This is where, I still got the mask on.
This is like, instead of DMs, it's just straight into the veins is what this is.
Absolutely. This is giving a voice to the shitting.
A little more instant gratification.
Absolutely. And less spelling mistakes from me.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, fuck. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, you foreigners putting U's into words that don't have them. What is
it? Favorite with the fucking color. The hell is that?
It's day, month, year, everyone. It's day, month,
year.
You
don't have the right.
No.
So trying to sync up with some of my Australian friends on some things. Trying to figure out the time. And if any of them's in New Zealand, Jesus Christ, they're even worse.
I know.
Even worse.
Well, hopefully
Australia Junior.
I know. Hopefully I can get Mitch and the gang to come down when they're all over here to Melbourne, and we can all hang out. But hopefully, yeah. But yeah, actually, that's a good jumping off point, Mr. NightDocs. Meeting people. I think you of all people, we had a great conversation about cannibalism.
Yeah. That's my specialty, man.
Your video series on that is just chef's kiss in all the formats.
Yeah.
So
there's so many other ones that I could do as well. Like there's like that whole topic is just a bottomless pit of just insane stuff, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You ever hear the one about
you can't look away
eating the clowns? One looked at the other guy and said, "Does this taste funny to you?"
Oh,
it's so tired.
I knew that was fucking coming, Charles. Oh, God.
We always go back to Juggalos. This is a podcast that is down with the clown to the bitter end, apparently.
Well, I mean, for NightDocs, it's in the name. If you watch his videos, do it at night. It's better. It's a better mood. And and by the way, if you didn't know, he produces his own music for his videos. So it's like, and the mood is it's a mood, y'all. Okay.
Well, I've been hard at work doing the music for this next one too. I'm really liking the music on the Hum Part 2 that's coming up. So
the little tease on the channel, I do like that little percentage, but I'm a geek for that.
Well, that actually is part of that little teaser is I actually filmed that and edited it and released it all on a live stream. Actually, it's actually all footage that is going to be used in it, but it's like I didn't give the context in the teaser. So in the full video, that'll actually be a part of kind of nearish the beginning where I was actually reenacting. I'm going to be a lot of the doc is going to be interviewing a guy named Dr. Glenn McPherson, who is the only researcher in the world that's really giving a scientific look at the world hum. And it's kind of recreating his discovery of the hum is what you were watching.
Oh, terrific.
What do you think it is? Like if you just had to guess, like what would you think it is?
I think I actually know what it is, but I'm not going to say it right now.
Oh,
I
like that. He's like, nah, I know what it is.
Yeah, no,
it's got to do with magnetism.
Short of having it confirmed by a peer-reviewed scientific paper, I can tell you with almost certainty I know what it is. So,
but you're not going to tell us what it is. He knows something. Exactly. He won't tell.
Well, the thing is, like, so I mean, I'd be happy to tell you, except that like so much of the video is build up to the reveal of what I think it is.
I don't want to know until I watch it.
Yeah.
Exactly,
because it takes a while for me to justify why I think it is what it is. And so there's a lot of evidence that I'm going to be going through that is really important to the thesis, really. So you gotta give me a chance to present the findings.
Absolutely. One chance. Unless there's a better video later that has better information, then I'll give you 2 chances.
Yeah.
Well, so people can check that out on the NightDocs channel in December, correct?
It'll actually, well, I think I gave it a release date of November, but I might be able to get it done before that. Hopefully within the next few weeks, but I don't know. Like I'm trying to be a lot better because so many of mine, they take so long. Like the last one I did took like 3 months, and there's been some that I was working on for like 6 or 7 months and all that. And I gotta get my upload frequency up a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. So I tell people, do it live.
Don't we all?
Do it live.
Yeah.
I was telling the gang about doing it live every day for a while. I was doing an hour a day every day just to get myself out there, just to do it. Managed to keep that up for about 3 months. Then my job flip-flop schedule, so things got a little crazy.
Do you ever like procrastinate? Like you have every opportunity in the world, and then you just like start doing other shit that has nothing to do with it, and you're like,
oh yeah,
but I have to do this thing before.
And that's actually, I'm actually glad you bring it up because so many of the projects I do, like I'll say it takes me like 6 or 7 months, but the thing is I'm working on a ton of things in tandem. Like literally right now I have like 10 to 15 projects that I'm working on at the same time. The biggest focus I have right now is the Hum Part 2, but in my free time, because this is just what I inherently like doing. Like I'm always just diving into stuff. And so as I find little nuggets of things that I think will be helpful, I just kind of try and keep them organized on little tabs on my research notes and all that. And I'll recall it, and eventually I'll be able to put it all together and all that. In fact, the thing is, like, I'm working on the Hum Part 2, and I had to really make a choice between doing that one and another video I want to do on Kim Il-sung that I finally finished the research on, which tells
that actually sounds dope though.
Yeah, it's actually an alternative origin story that I found in a very little known CIA document from 1947.
The old shit. He's got the documents.
Oh, I'm ready for that one.
And it took me a long time to actually verify that the document existed. But I also was speaking with people from the Council on Foreign Relations, and I got in touch with a guy named Bruce Cummings, who is really what everybody, including the Council of Foreign Relations, were like, talk to this guy, Bruce Cummings, because he is the world's foremost authority on modern Korea history. And I'd been trading emails back and forth with him, and he actually sent me an advance copy of an academic paper that he was one of the peer reviewers on, that actually was specifically about the thing that I was looking into that the public hadn't seen yet. So I actually was able to, I still don't think it's actually even out yet, to believe it or not. I'll have to do a search for it, but he gave me this advanced copy of this research paper that basically spilled the entire beans on everything. It's a pretty crazy story.
There's so many great CIA documents
I really love, like, I'll sit there. It's like any North Korean documentary. I'm fucking down for. Like, I'm just gonna watch them all, like all at the same time.
Would you ever go?
Me?
Fuck no.
No. Like, I've seen the ones like that documentary that French reporter did. Where it was like he would try to film something, and like he was just constantly like, no, fuck that. Like, I would never go. Like,
did you ever catch? There's I got 2 things. There's one, the Vice Guide to Travel. They went there.
Yeah. Vice can suck a dick.
Well, now they can, but back then, whatever that was, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, they were slinging dick, and they actually made a pretty fascinating documentary called The Vice Guide to Travel, North Korea, where the fella, they went there, they had the Harlem Globetrotters, and they got what's his name? The one that married Carmen Electra. I can see his face. I can't think of the name.
Dennis Rodman.
Why can't I think of that? Love Dennis Rodman.
I was going to say that's the next step, because I thought you were going to reference the collision in Korea.
Right, and then there's the collision in Korea, which was a gigantic wrestling event, perhaps the biggest ever in the world. where
Absolutely, yeah.
WCW in the 90s with, was it with New Japan or All Japan?
It was New Japan. It was
right, New Japan Pro Wrestling and WCW put on an event in the middle of North Korea for, I think it was 300,000 people.
Yeah, still the biggest audience of all time.
Because Kim Jong-un, like, he fucking loves like American culture. He loves basketball because he played basketball back when he was in boarding school, and it was like in Sweden, right?
Yeah.
He was in Sweden. He was in boarding school under an alias. He was like a normal kid, quote unquote. He liked to play basketball with his friends. Like, he really loves the shit out of Western culture.
There's a gaming website. One of the fellows on the gaming website's an adventurous type, and he actually went to North Korea.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like, he went on like the whole like Southeast tour and was like, "Oh, let's go to North Korea. That's gonna be
Would you ever go, Jim?
No, I really don't think I would. In fact, I one of my other YouTube buddies, Vexxed, you ought to look him up.
Yeah,
he hasn't uploaded in forever, but the last video he uploaded was a trip he took to North Korea where he actually snuck in illegally.
Oh,
how?
Oh my God!
So he's a YouTuber. And so he technically counts as a journalist, but he didn't declare himself as a journalist or somebody that was going to be releasing stuff to the public. So because if you're a that's it right there, where you just posted in the chat. So the whole thing, he went in not declaring he was a journalist, because if you declare yourself a journalist, you're going to be under a lot more scrutiny. You have to have a guide that has eyes on you 24 hours a day. And so with the way he did it, he was able to get a little bit more freedom. And there was one part where he actually sneaks out of the group and starts wandering around, which you're obviously not allowed to do, and ends up talking to a couple of Korean kids on the street and all that. And and then he's somehow able to sneak back in with the crowd of other people, sneaks back across the street into his group, sneaking past the guards who are looking out for American looking guys. And he was somehow able to get in, and he made it back safe and put it out. I'm sure he could never go back to North Korea.
No. Absolutely not.
I think he could.
That's mind-boggling.
Let's see him gain like 100 pounds. Let's see him grow out the just gigantic, full-on like dwarven beard.
Yeah,
and just completely change his look. Start wearing glasses.
I want to get close to it because a really good friend of mine, I grew up with them. He's one of my best friends. So he's half Korean. And so a lot of his family, actually, they live kind of close to the border, where they can see like they have, like, if you look through the binoculars, they have like these buildings on the North Korea side that look like they're like legit buildings, but it's
a ghost town.
Oh, they're props.
They're fucking props.
Yeah.
And they live pretty close to the border. And I was like, it's like we've always planned on going, because he goes like maybe once every like few years to like go hang out with family and shit. I was like, I've been wanting to go, but like he talks so much shit. Like, he got lost, but then he had to like remember like the Korean that his mom yelled at him when he was growing up. So to actually get home, and he goes, it actually fucking worked. But I think that's as close as I would ever get. I don't think I would actually ever go. But what's if you had to actually go on location for somewhere, where would you go, Jim?
Ireland. There's a
I'm gonna go to Ireland, eh?
Oh,
there's a specific
not this again.
So there's Mr. NightDocs. Would you fancy me pot of gold?
Oh my God!
So
Jim, just continue. Jim.
No, it's fine. I'm having a good time. It's pretty fun. So one of the ones that I've had planned for about a year and a half that I've been wanting to do, but I'd need some funding, is one that I really want to shoot in Ireland, specifically a little town called Tuam, Ireland. It's in northwest, I believe, Ireland, and it's probably the most insane story I've ever come across, and I can't believe that it hasn't been prolonged international news coverage. It's Tuam. It's Tuame. Yeah. So Tuam, Ireland, back in, I think it was 2012, maybe. I'm getting some of the dates wrong, I know, but somebody was going to a park in Tuam, Ireland, and after one thing led to another, they basically discovered some bones. And when they brought people out to excavate, it turned out that the playground was built on top of a mass grave of over 800 infants from the 1960s.
Fucking shit!
Oh, shit!
All right, that place has to have some very strong, like, poltergeist energy, because they move.
Your baby's fucking laughing at midnight and shit.
I was
So
Googling it as you
Imagine
were
going
saying
there
it.
and performing like magic, like real magic with a K, like doing some occult shit.
Oh, fuck that.
The energy of that place must be extraordinary.
Jim, tell us about it.
So the name of the it was a mother. It's the site of a former mother and baby home called Bon Secours. It was a Catholic mother and baby home that was run through, I believe, as late as the 1980s, like 81 or something like that. And it was a really awful place. Basically, they would take these unwed pregnant mothers, and they didn't have anywhere else to go, and so they'd go to the Bon Secours place. They were basically put into what seems like slave labor to me. And when they gave birth, the church would take the child, kick the mother out, and she would never see her child again.
Oh, wow.
And these little babies were emaciated and neglected and starved, and when they died, they would literally throw them in a sewage drain out back. And they found this mass grave.
I like that. I can't even wrap my head around this.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh God.
How?
So as soon as this blew, so most of Ireland knows the story, but not a ton of people outside of Ireland know about this story. And back in 2015, the Irish government put together a commission that was supposed to do a really thorough investigation of the Bon Secours site and find out what happened. And the Irish government put this commission together. It was supposed to last for a year. They have extended it by a year every year ever since, because they keep finding more stuff. And the thing is, the commission was put together to investigate Bon Secours and about 13 other mother and baby homes found around Ireland run by the Catholic Church that they suspect of doing the same thing. So if it's as bad at these other 13 mother and baby homes, we're talking about a body count of like 11,200 dead infants from the 1940s to the 1960s.
Holy fuck.
Jesus.
That's a lot of babies, I take.
So, yeah. So, and honestly, it's probably going to be the most important like documentary that I think I'll ever do. It's honestly, if it's the last one I ever do, I'd be fine with that. Like, as long as the word gets out, because like the fact that people don't know this story is just a crime in and of itself to me.
I've never heard of
and
it.
that
And
nobody's been held accountable.
I bet
looking
you
for
could
like
find,
weird shit. That's crazy.
Because you said it was in the 20s, right? I bet you could find some of those mothers that are still alive.
There's actually children who grew up in there that are still alive, and so I want to get out there. I want to interview them. There's a old woman who lives in Tuam, Ireland, who's taken it upon herself to kind of become the local historian about this whole thing, and she has physical documents and artifacts and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, even on my computer right now, I've got thousands of pages downloaded from the Irish government that are all interim reports, and there's photos of skeletons of toddlers and infants and baby toys and stuff like that they just found in the dirt.
They just had buried out there.
Thank you for telling us about this.
I'm starting to
Okay, seriously, if you guys have never ever watched any NightDocs, if you haven't if you haven't subscribed to his channel, do that now, because basically like the stuff that he makes, like it's like Netflix tier
absolutely
stuff. Okay.
I want to describe it as more like the not necessarily in search of or unexplained mysteries, like because I'm old, those are the references I'll make instead of Netflix docs. Those kind of things, because he's looking into like weird stuff.
It makes you obsess about it. for a couple of days after you watch it. Like, I wonder what actually fucking happened, you know?
Right.
And because it's spooky month. It's October.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's always things that are unexplained. Have you ever had anything happen to you that you just cannot explain?
That's a pretty general question. I'm trying to think of a way to.
Have you had an experience with the supernatural?
Anything kind of like that?
I don't think I have. Here's the funny thing though. I don't really believe in ghosts or whatever, but like but I'm still terrified of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That. You shouldn't believe.
I don't.
How about jinn? Do you believe in jinn?
No, I really don't believe in a lot of supernatural stuff. No, I really don't. But I will say one of the things that I'm really looking forward to, a book that I'm planning on getting as soon as it's out. It should be out hopefully December or early spring. The curator at the British Museum for I think it's Middle Eastern studies or whatever. He's basically the world's leading expert on ancient Mesopotamia. And he's got a book coming out called The First Ghost Stories, which goes back to ancient Sumeria and I think even before that, where, you know, he gets into all of the rituals they would get into for necromancy and all sorts of stuff like that.
I love the occult.
And what's really interesting is the ancient Sumerians had a very, very different view on spirits and things like that than we do in our modern age, because we have a big entertainment industry surrounding it, and so it's used for frights and scares. They thought of spirits and even malevolent spirits as just part of the fabric of reality that was just they were expected to be around. In fact, some of the rituals that they would do is, you know, somebody died a long time ago and they took a certain secret to them with their grave, and so they'd bring out a skull and put it on an altar and call back that person to give them the information that they need, and, you know, maybe even give them advice on a business dealing that they have or something like that. They would straight up call a spirit into the skull of the person who once inhabited it, and they got into some crazy stuff, and so he's got a whole book on it.
Imagine we go dig up, or imagine somebody that we don't know goes and digs up William Randolph Hearst, sets his head down and says, "Listen, pal, I gotta know, which of these tech companies should I invest in? What stock should I go for?"
Jesus
Christ. That's more Futurama, man.
Yeah,
where they got the heads and the little fish tank things.
In virtual reality, the new 3D, is it just a bunch of crap that just sizzle and no steak? Come on,
and that never really did go anywhere.
Streaming future, is it all a joke?
Well, I was gonna say that's an interesting point. Like our closest version of that would be like making neural pathways and like essentially an AI version of a dead person, like something to keep forever, so they could literally come back and talk to their ancestors.
It's like the holographic Tupac.
Yeah,
the holographic Tupac, or that they did a hologram of one of the kids that was shot at one of the shootings. That was particularly weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they choloed him up. Hey man, I'm going to tell you, do not buy guns. You shouldn't have guns. I was like, what is this?
That's a bit.
Well, you know, they're actually gonna, with Elon Musk and the Neuralink, they're inching closer to the point where you're gonna be able to download a human brain.
Would you jack in if you could upload yourself to the cloud?
That's what I'm trying to get at is, you know, the human brain has actually, I think they've been able to actually measure the storage capacity of a human brain, and it's got a storage capacity of something like 2.5 million gigabytes. Jesus. And so if they're able to figure out a way to download a human brain, I mean, you could essentially live forever.
Absolutely. And what a research device that would be if you could go back and talk to.
Oh, what a way to get ads.
Yeah,
depending on how famous you were, abso-fucking-lutely.
There's been a couple of like more recent science fiction stories. There's an Amazon show about somebody uploading to an afterlife like that. There's episodes of Black Mirror.
Here's the thing.
The Black Mirror, the heaven's a place on earth. So, ooh, baby, do you know what that
Can I just say, as far as Black Mirror is concerned, that is the only series where UK episodes are far better than the US versions.
Yep.
The US fucking Black Mirrors are total shit.
You ready to really go down the rabbit hole?
Let's go.
So, talking about, stuff like Neuralink and things like that, it's got me thinking lately. We've had a lot of discussion lately about these contact with UAPs and UFOs and things like that. And I don't really, like I said, I don't really believe in the paranormal. So stuff like telepathy and all that, it just doesn't ring true in my mind as something real. But
absolutely,
if you think about where the technology could go thousands of years into the future, where, Neuralink is just the first step where you are able to directly connect your brain to a computer. And I mean, think of a world where you are, instead of sending text messages, you are having conversations with each other at the speed of thought, where human speech is no longer as efficient as just submitting your thoughts and intentions to another person directly. Exactly. And you just share that information. You would say telepathically, but it's technology. And there's all these different stories of sightings and people that have, all of them unverified and unproven, obviously, but stories of people that have actually communicated with, these supposed aliens that have come down. Almost all of them have described hearing either a language that they didn't understand or being communicated with through thoughts, like telepathy is how they describe it. And it makes sense that in the future, that's going to be a more efficient way for human beings to communicate with each other.
Yeah, full technopath. Just be like
full past somebody and they turn and look and go, "Oh man, you just said a racial slur in your head. What do you think? You think that about me? How dare you?"
That at that point, we will literally probably have like thought police.
Guy walks by,
really?
Wee woo. But okay, speaking of UFOs and shit, why now 2021? We have pretty good technology. We got pretty good phones on our camera phones, and everybody's got a fucking phone. Why can't we capture this shit in fucking 4K?
Right. And so there are videos out there that they did get them up close. The thing is, the videos that are out there that supposedly show these things up close are not the ones that get attention, because the ones that we're paying attention to are the ones that are officially acknowledged by the US government. And so there are videos that are out there where they're flying right next to a jet, and a pilot will take literally their iPhone out and film it following them alongside from just 40 feet away. And you get a really clear view, but they haven't released those particular pieces of footage yet, but we know they exist because the people that have them have said that they have them. And so they're just holding it close to the vest. And honestly, most of it boils down to the fact that the US government, since the Roswell crash, has been trying to reverse engineer the technology. I mean, we saw proof of that in the patents that were filed by Salvatore Pais, who is one of the research scientists with the US Navy. He filed 3 patents. One of them was for a room temperature superconductor. One of them was for a force field, and one of them was for a craft that operates on basically gravity waves, where it makes what he calls superluminal travel possible, faster than light travel, because it's not the object. When you see these objects that are doing these impossible maneuvers, the object is not moving. It's warping space around it so that it just materializes where it needs to be.
We're seeing the echoes of it. We're not actually seeing it.
You are seeing it, but the reference that you are seeing is you are seeing something in motion because relative to you, it is moving. However, it is stationary, but it's actually moving space around it. So you are kind of part of the reality, the fabric of space-time that is being warped around it. And there are lots of reports of people who get too close to these things that they suffer a lot of different health effects and things like that if they get too close.
What?
And
pineal glands get stimulated, son.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's impossible for any living thing to be able to survive the kind of movements that we see these things do. In fact, one of the released videos, I read a paper recently where they actually analyzed the G-forces and I'm going to misquote it, I know, because I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was, there was one maneuver where it actually darts off the screen, and with the distance away that it was, and as quick of a response time that the AtFLIR cameras have in tracking these objects, the fact that it was able to escape view and go off screen, it was moving so fast and it had such rapid acceleration that if you were a human being inside of it, you would have been experiencing G forces close to like 3,000 Gs, which would turn you into soup. I mean, you would not survive. Not only that, but the craft itself would have disintegrated. And that's another thing too. If you look at the footage of these UFOs traveling, and you can see them doing transmedium travel, where they will seamlessly transfer from air to water, back to air without any slowdown. And what's really crazy, no ripples or splashes in the water.
Oh,
that's
weird. So, okay, they released it. What was it? It's been like a year, right? Since
been,
they released that, where they officially acknowledged
like,
this is something we don't.
Yeah,
I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019.
Yeah,
I think it was 2019.
The Doom or Wojak who's meeting aliens. He's just like, man, I got a lot of shit going on. I don't care about aliens.
Well, one of the officially released ones was actually on YouTube as far back as 2015, but nobody knew that it was there.
Didn't. So do you think that do you think there's a lot more going on that they do? They obviously know more of what's going on than we do, but but what do you think about that?
So I just finished reading a book by Ross Coulthart, who is kind of the Walter Cronkite of Australia. He's one of the most respected journalists out there. He's covered everything from biker gangs to the Middle East to he's been in this game for like 35 years. And he decided to tackle this topic, and he released a book called In Plain Sight, where he talked to a lot of government insiders from governments all over the world. And the thing is, we got to be careful when we talk about this stuff, because as exciting as a lot of this sounds, none of this is verified. All we have is what has been released. And until we see proof, you gotta, it's fun to hear about this stuff.
I tell you what, I'll get a document, I'll sign it saying that it's true. I'll get my father to sign it, and I'll get Colonel Sanders to sign it.
So I will tell you, I've been working on one of my other projects I've been working on is a UAP documentary. It's called Humanity, the Uncontacted Tribe, where I'm looking at all of this stuff that I've been looking into with UFOs, and I'm actually putting it into context with what has happened when we have contacted previously uncontacted civilizations before. The Aztecs, the Dogon, Columbus is, all these things that happen, where you've got this language barrier and you introduce diseases, and it's just a disaster for the less technologically advanced civilization. And so I'm trying to put that into context and the thoughts that I've got on this, but you're asking me what does all of this mean? And what if you were to take everything at face value and just believe everything that is coming out that seems credible-ish and put it all together, the picture that I'm seeing right now is that this is not new at all. In fact, humans have been visited for thousands of years. In fact, you can see it in Renaissance paintings, where there's some of these really famous Renaissance paintings where you see these craft that are really small details in the sky behind these paintings, and you can see that it's being piloted by somebody. It's like an airship that looks very much like the Tic Tacs and the different things that we see now. And they're all in these really religious paintings. And they've been interpreted as angels or whatever, but they are inside these vehicles that are flying through the air. And so I was listening to the Joe Rogan episode where he interviewed Tom DeLonge, and he says a lot of crazy stuff. I know, honestly, he does. But here's the thing. A lot of what he says, nothing he has talked about, that he talked about in that episode has been categorically disproven yet. In fact, a lot of the things that he was saying during that are slowly being revealed to be either factually true or very strong possibility that they are true.
Yeah, I said that after the footage came out last year. I think I even tweeted. I said somewhere Tom DeLonge is spiking the ball and saying, "I fucking told you people, aliens exist. God damn it!" And I wrote a fucking song about it.
And obviously, none of this is proof in and of itself. But look who he surrounded himself with. Look who signed on with him. You know, these are not, you know, tinfoil hat wearing ufologists that are, you know, camped out in the deserts of Nevada with telescopes. These are CIA deputy directors and directors of national intelligence and government figures. I mean, we had the Israeli space chief a couple years ago straight up say to an Israeli newspaper, and it was reported by NBC News, that he said that aliens are here. We are in contact with them. We have an agreement with them. Trump knows about it, but we can't reveal it right now.
Oh, shit.
He straight up said that.
Do you think that he's just saying that to get attention?
Well, here's the thing. He's not the only one that said that from more than one government. This was the guy at the head of the Israeli space agency. You've also got the guy that was at the head of the Canadian space agency who said very similar things. And the way Tom DeLonge put it in the interview he had on Joe Rogan is he said something along the lines of that Earth is kind of analogous on the galactic scale to Syria, where it's become kind of the location of a proxy war between a lot of more powerful nations. And there are way more than one species of alien that are here. And personally, I kind of wonder, like, you know, does that explain why all these different UFOs, they have such drastically different designs? Like there's a select few that you see on repeat. You know, you got the black triangles, you've got the Tic Tacs, you've got these huge underwater ones.
Yeah.
And like they all seem like they're different, but they all seem credible. You got the pyramids, you got like all these crazy different things. What if they are all from different species of alien that are here fighting over Earth? Because they, like, I think Tom DeLonge said that a lot of why they are here is not just research, but they are here for resources as well. And they just are ignoring us, you know, like we're just not even worth worrying about to them, evidently. But a lot of them evidently look like us. That I read a story somewhere, and I don't know how true or even remotely possible this is. Like, evidently, some of them look so human-like that a couple of them evidently went shopping, like, and just nobody even gave them a second glance. Like,
have you ever? You've heard that one Men in Black one, right?
Like about the existence of actual Men in Black?
No, like there's guys, and they were really pale and they didn't really like humid. I can't remember that one.
The Greys.
Yeah. And people like vouched for this story that like these two guys that just didn't quite seem right. And a lot of people corroborated the story. Like, what do you think about that one?
I'm not familiar with that specific one, but there's more than one story like that are out there. I mean, all you have to do is look back to the Phoenix Lights. Back in 1997. That is one of the most credible UFO sightings and alien sightings that we've ever had. That it just, there's never really been anything that's really revealed what was going on there. And of course, all the government explanations didn't hold water. They were saying it was flares. I mean, you can see the footage. That isn't flares. They're literally hovering there for a long time. And they moved from Phoenix to Tucson. And I mean, it's just a bunch of insane stuff. But yeah. I mean, I've heard, I mean, like people who've never looked into content I do, they're going to think I'm a total crackpot and everything. But because I honestly, I don't know what to believe. I really don't. I'm just repeating things that
I feel you. I like before, if you probably would have asked me like 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, that's fucking crazy. But now it's like, well,
right. Well, one thing Tom DeLonge was talking about is that the Greys specifically are not actually aliens. Those are actually androids.
See, some people tell me they have argued that they're interdimensional beings, that they're aliens from another dimension, not necessarily aliens from another planet.
Well, here's another rabbit hole for you. Ross Coulthart, the guy that wrote In Plain Sight, I was watching a podcast he was on really recently, and they got him to, like, he actually very reluctantly talked about this because he was like, I can't verify this, but it was just his personal thoughts. And Luis Elizondo actually alluded to this as well, that these guys, or maybe one species of them, are actually future humans.
That they're actually time travelers that have come back, and that they look so alien to us because they're so far in the future. Their evolutionary developments have changed.
Well, it's everybody mingling. It's like that one episode of South Park with the time travelers, and they're like time immigrants.
Yeah.
Everyone get the pile.
Goobacks, right?
They call them goobacks.
They got slimy backs.
I'll have to check that one out.
Okay, so there was something that it's pretty interesting, and it has to do with our good short friend Napoleon.
Oh yeah. Well, I was actually going to bring it up. I just kind of had it on the back burner just in case we didn't have anything else to talk about or anything. But I'll go ahead and.
I do want to talk about this. It's good.
I do a lot of research just all the time. I just dive into tons of rabbit holes. And one of the craziest ones, I've been really digging into French history, specifically around Napoleon. I'm actually in the middle of reading one of the biographies that was written on him. And one of the crazier things about Napoleon is some lady in New Jersey has his penis.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So they pickled his penis. A pickled pecker.
I could just imagine it. It's like, hey, what you got there? Oh, it's just Napoleon's penis.
I got Napoleon's penis here in a jar.
It's such a strange part of history, but and it isn't like definitively confirmed to be Napoleon's, but I mean the chain of custody of it, like it seems pretty clear to me that there's a very strong possibility that it is.
See, there was
so how did she obtain his wiener? His alleged wiener.
Right. So
allegedly.
The story goes, so Napoleon, he was exiled twice. So he became the emperor. Eventually he became the emperor of France. And after he was defeated at the, Waterloo came later.
Okay.
After he was defeated the first time, he was exiled to the island of Elba. And then he came back, and it's one of the craziest stories in history, honestly, of how he came back and retook he retook France away from the next Louis. He basically just marched from one end of France all the way to Paris or Versailles, I can't remember which. And along the way, the king was sending armies to stop him, and they kept joining him. And like they would get up to him, and he would stand before them, spread his shirt out, show him his chest, and say, "Will you shoot your emperor?" And like they would drop their weapons and join his cause and join him on the march to the capital. And by the time he got there, he had the entire army of France with him, and Louis went into hiding. Yeah. He retook the empire and immediately went back on trying to conquer Europe. And that was when he was defeated finally at the Battle of Waterloo. But anyway, after the Battle of Waterloo and after his second big defeat, they exile him to this island called Saint Helena, I think.
I believe so.
And upon his death, he had evidently started getting into a bunch of fights with the doctor that was there, called him impotent at one point, which was just a huge insult back in those days.
Oh, I think it's still still a huge
right.
Insult
yeah.
now.
Like if I was to walk up to somebody, be like, "AJ, you're impotent." They're gonna get mad.
He's living up to his name, Bonaparte. Remove.
Yeah, Bonerpart. She's got his Bonerpart.
I'd have to look at my notes again here to make sure I've got all of my facts straight. But like the gist of the story.
What's the note say about the size?
Oh, Jesus!
Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. So when he dies, the guy doing the autopsy who was insulted by Napoleon, as an insult, the story goes he lopped off his penis and threw it in a box to basically show the world how small of a dick this guy had.
Oh no.
And
It's
so
a dick
he
in
put
a
it in a little
box?
box, and it passed hands on St. Helena, and then it was sold to a private collector in the 1970s who was a urologist from New Jersey.
Oh, well, that makes sense though.
And so this private collector in New Jersey paid $3,000 for Napoleon's dick.
Wow.
And to
That's
this
a pretty
day,
good deal.
it is at their residence. They don't allow people to film it, but I've seen 2 different documentaries where they actually go there to this lady's house who actually has it in her possession now. She pulls it out of storage. They open the box and react to it. You don't get to see it, but it's evidently like 1.5 inches long. It's just a mummified, shriveled little thing.
It is.
Oh.
It's just, I'm looking at it right now and it's like,
What a size queen.
it looks like a dried up dog turd.
See, there's there was a
That's what
fake
it
one going
looks
around
like.
that they claimed it was Rasputin's pecker. That they had
I'm not
pickled
familiar
his
with that
pecker.
one. I'm not familiar with that one.
Tom, pull that image up.
No.
Are they just ripping off everybody's fucking dicks? I mean, is that what they're gonna do? Like,
Something
what
like
is
that.
this?
Yeah, so
God damn it! What the
He
fuck?
was
do
Why
I
is that the
say?
first thing?
alleged
Why
to
is that the
have
first
had
thing
a
people
giant
think of?
one.
I'm just gonna cut off your dick. You know, like what? What is this?
It's the symbolism of manhood. There we go.
yeah, Rasputin.
This is so-
Men are more obsessed with dicks
God.
than women are. It's just a lie.
Guys
That's a
packing
weird
a lot of
looking.
pecker.
That's a weird looking dick. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't show that on screen, so there's a link in the description. Please go and look at that.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah, I
wiener.
think I
It's a
have heard about that, yeah.
There's
It's a
some
medical
balls.
photo. It's a
It looks
bone.
that this one looks kind of like
a
an
gooey duck.
elephant trunk.
I was gonna say gooey duck.
Yeah, there are
looks a
some people that
little-
say that it's fake.
Looks a little. The tip is questionable, but then again, it is very old.
So you're not going to
Looks like a
authenticate
snow
that this
cone.
is indeed the Mad Monk's peckaroo?
I'm like, oh, it's a penis. Let's call an expert. This is just like fucking Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I got to keep this dick laying around. I don't think I can sell this. Best I can do is $20.
You know,
Take it or
I
leave
got a friend who knows about these
Yeah.
things.
And then in comes like this dude wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Oh, wow. You know, the peckaroo of Napoleon sold for $3,000 in 1970.
This is 100% authentic penis.
So what's really interesting is one of the documentaries I watched about this. It's called Dead Famous DNA. It was done back in 2014. It was hosted by a genetic scientist named Dr. Mark Evans. And there's like 9 or 10 episodes where he basically hunts the world for famous dead celebrities, government figures like Adolf Hitler, Elvis, Eva Braun.
I'm watching this, by the way, later.
Napoleon. And he basically tries to collect their DNA and sequence it so we can find out kind of what made them tick at a genetic level. And he was able to get quite a few people. I think he was able to get Eva Braun from some hair on a brush. He was able to get the hair of Elvis.
Ooh.
He was able to get beard trimmings from Darwin. A lot of the other ones, like I think King George, Mad King George, he tried to sequence that, but it turned out it was a wig.
Oh yeah.
Why does Mad King George look like an Indian kid?
Right. He tried to do Hitler, but he couldn't find anything that was actually his. So one of the samples he got was purportedly from Hitler's barber, who like evidently Hitler was very meticulous about not leaving any trace behind. And when he got a haircut, he would make sure that all of the trimmings were swept up and burned.
Oh, wow.
And his barber evidently at one point put like Scotch tape on the bottom of his shoes, and as he's cutting his hair, just collected it on the tape. But I mean, that ended up not being legitimately Hitler's.
Every day somebody
but,
tells me something new crazy about Hitler. that I've never heard before that is just more insane.
Just think of all the stuff that we haven't heard yet.
Yeah, like the Hitler hole goes so deep into like conspiracy and Crank Road.
Oh, that he had a scat fetish. That's my favorite.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to
Scat fetish is
UFOs,
my favorite.
one of the big things is one of the things I've been hearing is that one of the biggest reasons about why we took so many Nazis in Operation Paperclip, where we took a bunch of the rocket scientists, is because the Nazis were also working on reverse engineering a lot of the alien tech. In fact, if you look back at some of the technology they were demonstrating, it was years ahead of anything else anybody else's military had. They always had some new super weapon they were working on, and just never hardly any of them.
There was that big crater in Russia that people believe was
Tunguska?
An alien event. I can't recall the name of it now, but it's
Tunguska was definitely an asteroid. I'm almost positive that one.
Fair enough. But I will say, Mr. Jim, if people want to know about more of these weird and wild stories that are frankly blowing a lot of fucking minds, like the
I feel blown
mass
away by
grave that
Napoleon's
fucking
dick.
cooked the old melon. I think that deserves from everyone listening to go and subscribe to youtube.com/NightDocs.
Yeah, that's NightDocs over on YouTube. Everybody like and subscribe.
Absolutely. Follow the boy on Twitch
guys.
and Patreon. You know, got to support the boy, and hopefully that'll get him over to Ireland sooner than later. But matey, I am massively appreciative. Like that, there's never a dull conversation with you, my good friends. And
thanks, man.
I want to do more.
Yeah,
so
I wish I
like
could just sit
you're
here and
gonna
talk
have
to
to
the
come back.
NightDocs for 4
You're gonna
hours.
have to come back.
Always
on.
Happy to come back.
Absolutely, always leave them wanting more. Exactly. But yes, go ahead and support NightDocs. I will say, personal favorite.
And on Twitch. And
Absolutely, on the Twitch.
Absolutely, he's on the Twitch for sure too.
The
he's
Brazil
doing live
cannibalism story.
streams, breaking things down.
Exactly. So yes, go ahead and support them there. Charles, you're doing the Twitch, correct?
I'm on Twitch. I stream video games and talking to people and talking to the chat.
Absolutely.
You know, I do a lot of things.
Exactly.
Memes
and
on Twitter. Everybody loves
absolutely.
memes.
Speaking of genitalia, Jen is doing a video on a certain video.
It'll be out in a week from now. So this is already it'll be out by the time this comes out. But twitch.tv/lore LORE and Lorder D&D every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Exactly. And you can
watch
follow him.
that.
Exactly. And the whole gang, Pod and Jess and Tom Sweeney, the sweet lads, and Crip Daddy, and all those gang over there. You can follow me, Tom_video girl, all that stuff. But Jim, again, very much appreciated. Thank you much for dropping by.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man. I love NightDocs. I love Jim. He's a good dude.
Exactly.
Fascinating information all over the place. Like,
if you learn something, you never lose today.
Yeah, when it comes to like crank and conspiracy stuff, like that's the occult, all this shit. I love this shit.
Hell yeah, excellent,
good shit.
Well, and
go binge on it. It's October. Go binge on it.
Exactly,
it's perfect time.
It's weird, and so are we. Thank you so much. Stay weird and stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.